It seems that the Denver Broncos have shot down taking this position in the first round of the draft. Sean Payton and George Payton held their annual pre-draft press conference today, and they made it clear about one thing. The Broncos are in a very unique position to be flexible in the first round of the draft. They're not pigeonholed into having to take a certain position or a certain type of player at a position. They are free to really go best player available in the first round with the 20th overall pick. And we addressed in a separate video that they both said that this draft may be a little bit light on true first round talent, true first round grades, but that doesn't mean that the Denver Broncos aren't going to have the potential to come away with a blue chip player. But it seems that there is one position in the first round that might be off the table for the Broncos. I want to go ahead and bring in these two tweets here about the wide receiver position for the Broncos. They were asked if there would be additions to the wide receiver room, and Sean Payton said there would be, either through the draft or free agency by the time training camp starts. But he also said, quote, "We're happy with the two guys we selected a year ago in Devon Vele and Troy Franklin, and the one we selected 2 years ago in Marvin Mims, as well as the guys that are already here." What that means to me is that the Denver Broncos are not in a position to take a wide receiver in the first round. That said, if Ted McMillan were to fall to Denver at 20, they would have to think pretty hard about taking him because he is the best receiver in this class, in my opinion, outside of Travis Hunter, who is probably going to play corner in the NFL. But if they were able to get a Ted McMillan, I would be absolutely thrilled. As far as the other wide receivers on the board, I like them. Don't get me wrong, I like them, but I think there are going to be premium positions still on the board at 20, such as defensive line. Maybe even one of the two top tight ends fall. In that scenario, I would like the Denver Broncos to go in that direction. Let's assume that they do. In this video, I want to talk about some of the other receivers that are going to be available maybe late in day 2 or day 3. I think there are going to be a lot of good receivers taken in the 4th through 7th rounds of the NFL draft. And I want to talk about some of the guys that I really like that could go in the 4th or 7th round. And the best part about this draft is you've got guys with a bunch of different skill sets. You can really pick your flavor here. Do you want a slot receiver? Do you want a big-bodied X receiver like Cortland Sutton? Or do you want maybe more of a Z receiver, kind of your Jerry Jeudy type mold? There's a lot of different directions that the Denver Broncos can go here, and I'm very confident that they're going to be able to land a high-end wide receiver in the draft, even if it's on day 3, if they elect to go in that direction. So let's say that they want to go out and get maybe another slot receiver. I don't think that's going to be exactly the plan because they do have some good players who can play in the slot, and that includes Evan Ingram. But if they wanted to add maybe another big slot to the room, Jack Besh could be an interesting option there. I really like him. Some of the smaller bodied slots that I like that could be available on day 3, Jalen Royals. I really like Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Xavier Restrepo out of the U. He was Cam Ward's top target down there. I really like Restrepo. I think his game could translate really well as a slot receiver in the NFL. You've also got Tez Johnson, Bo Nix's adopted brother. Smaller body for sure, but he could be kind of a slot playmaker type guy for you. Also, LeJohntay Wester. I think if you can't get Tez Johnson, LeJohntay Wester would be an excellent consolation prize. They're kind of similar in their game. I think that they both could be a dynamic speed threat for the Broncos. I know that Tez didn't test well in terms of his 40 times, but you turn on his tape and you see a very dynamic, speedy athlete. I think that he's a higher graded player than Troy Franklin was coming out, but that's just me. If you can get Tez, that would be absolutely sick. Then, what if they were to go out and maybe address like X receiver, get a bigger bodied guy, kind of like Cortland Cortland Sutton. There's Pat Bryant out of Illinois. He could be a day 3 steal, as well as Jackson Meeks out of Syracuse. He's kind of a tweener between an X or maybe a bigger bodied Z receiver. The Z receiver lines up off the ball and they can be put in motion, things like that. They're generally a little bit smaller bodied. The X guys are the guys that line up on the ball and they have to deal with the press, bump and run coverage. They have to be able to win their one-on-one matchups against press. So I think that if you want to go with a guy like that, maybe a Pat Bryant or a Jackson Meeks, those are a couple of guys that I like that could fill that role. Or let's say that they want to go out and they want to get a Z. I do think that Jackson Meeks could be sort of a bigger Z, but there's Torrey Horton out of CSU. I really like him as a Z, dependent on his health. He was out for a good chunk of the season last year with an injury, so if he's good to go, then I am absolutely in on Torrey Horton. Also, Will Shepherd out of Colorado. All you CU fans out there will know that Will Shepherd could be a really good Z receiver in the NFL. So these are all guys that I think could make an impact if the Denver Broncos were to get them on day 3. They don't have to go out and spend a first or even a second round pick on a wide receiver because this receiving class really is deep. We talk about this being a deep running back class. I think that this actually is a really deep receiver class, even if it's not exactly top heavy like some of the previous receiver classes have been. But I'm curious, Broncos country, let me know in the comment section below. Are there any names here that I may have missed as far as targets that you might want to see the Denver Broncos go after at wide receiver? I know that free agency is going to be another place that the Denver Broncos might look, see if they could look over the scraps of free agency and bring in a wide receiver there. But more realistically, if you want to add talent that could make an impact for you in the short term, then you're going to go with a guy in the draft. And like I said, there are a lot of drafts here, or a lot of guys here that you could draft on this list that would make sense for the Denver Broncos. So let me know in the comment section below, is there anybody I missed? And do you like somebody maybe on day 3 at wide receiver that you think would be a good fit for the Broncos? Let those comments rain down in the comment section below. I cannot talk today, guys. Before we get out of here though, I do want to shout out the affiliate partner for today's video, Whitebeard Signworks. You see this really cool sign behind me. You can get one yourself by using code BS30, link in the description down below, to save $30 off your first purchase from Whitebeard Signworks. He can do a logo of any team that you want. So let's say that you're a Raiders fan watching this video for whatever reason, they could do a Raiders logo for you. There's already some examples up of other teams such as Lions, Dolphins, Colts, I believe Vikings. He's done signs for a lot of other Syndicate teams. So if you want to get one yourself, please use code BS30, link in the description below, at Whitebeard Signworks. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, Broncos country, I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out and stay tuned for further draft content. We're going to be ramping it up over these next few days, including the big 3-day draft stream in 1 week's time.